we've pretty much debated this in the past, so I support this.
And we've been criticized both ways, Bob.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to be criticized the other way. So, when I thought about being on council, especially the first month or two that I was on council, I asked myself a series of questions.
What am I doing here?
Yeah, and one of them was, how does one make decisions? And how one makes decisions is by principles. And an important principle, and I looked around for an important principle, and probably the best one is never restrict anyone's freedom unless you have a very good reason. Okay. And when I came to vote for this, I had to reflect on that. And I reflected in two ways. One, we do have a problem in Port Orange, it's feral cats. And by the way, this legislation does not affect feral cats at all. It affects owners. Okay. So we're not dealing with the problem. I think we made a good step a couple of weeks ago when we did push for $40,000 investment in trap, spay, and neuter. And I will be meeting with the city manager shortly, where I would like to give him some input on what I think we need in terms of planning, getting volunteers, working with other groups, working with Volusia County, working with a whole bunch to let's put together in place a good neutering, trap and neutering program. We have the resources now. We have the director who's assured us all he and his staff will work with us in making sure that we have probably, I hope, a model program for this county in what a city can do to deal with this important problem. Okay, now let's get to the question at hand. The question at hand is, do I really want to tell my residents, whether I have a dog and it is neutered, I had a cat, she died recently, she was neutered. I personally believe in it, and by the way, I personally would urge anyone with a pet to do it, okay? But on the other hand, should I order people in the community to do it? And the issue centers on the question, is it really are we achieving an important objective? And I submit to you all, we're not going to achieve an important objective. We're not going to achieve an important objective with this legislation because we're not talking about enforcing it. What we're talking about is when the dog is caught, and it's going to be dogs and cats, mainly dogs, but it will be some cats as well. When we catch them, they're already illegal. They've already been caught for something else, and now we'll have another charge to add on to them. I don't think this is going to be a terribly successful way. I think it was mentioned at the last council meeting that we would not be going door to door checking our dogs and cats out to see if they were neutered. We were only going to check them if they were caught for something else. That tells me two things are happening. One, this is feel-good legislation, and I'm tired of feel-good legislation. I promise you all, when I vote for something, I mean to see it. I think it's serious enough to be voted for, to restrict someone's rights, and second of all, it needs to be done. So, one of the reasons I'm hesitant to vote for this, and I will not vote for it, because I don't think it is designed to be enforced. Because I know, because I ran animal control, that is call after call after call, they simply do not have the time. And they're not going to have the energy or the time to go around. It's going to produce more hassle for them. And we're going to have an already overburdened group who are going to have to simply ignore this law. And when laws are ignored, it reduces respect overall for the law. So I certainly would say, let's crawl before we walk. Let's do a good job on trap, neuter, and release. Let's move from there into a public relations campaign to convince people to voluntarily neuter and spray their cats and dogs. And then third, if that doesn't work and there are serious problems, then and only then should we consider restricting people's liberties. So that's why I don't think this is good legislation at this time.
Okay, one of the things, if you get the other side of it, they just